Welcome to EverlastCyber, where we dive deep into the world of cybersecurity. Today we're going to be exploring one of the most essential certifications for any aspiring cybersecurity professionals. This is the CompTIA Security Plus 701. Now, whether you're starting your journey into cybersecurity or you're looking forward to advancing your career, the CompTIA Security Plus is a very important milestone. This certification covers a wide range of topics from network security to cryptography. The certification has 5 domains, which are the general security concepts, threats, vulnerabilities and mitigations, security architecture, security operations, and the security program management and oversight. In this video, we're going to break down what the 701 exam covers, why it is important, as well as providing some valuable tips on how to prepare effectively. By the end of the video series, you will have a clear understanding of what to expect and how to succeed in obtaining the CompTIA Security Plus certification. So if you're ready to enhance your skills and knowledge in cybersecurity, let's jump right into the practice questions. Question 1. During a security audit at a financial institution, auditors evaluate the initial step of access control to ensure employees' digital identities are correctly established. Which of the following best exemplifies the principle of identification in access control? A. The IT department issues one-time passwords to employees, which they must use with regular passwords for two-factor authentication. B. After logging in, the system checks employee job titles and departments to automatically adjust the level of access to company resources. C. Employees are required to present a unique identifier before verification of authenticity. D. The system encrypts the communication channel when an employee tries to log in, ensuring that username and password are not intercepted. First of all, you have to understand that identification is the process of establishing the identity of the user, and this is done by presenting a unique identifier. So in this case, we'll be going with option C. Requiring the employees to present a unique identifier before verification exemplifies the principle of identification in access control. So that's why we're going with this option, option C. The employees are required to present a unique identifier before verification of authenticity. Question 2. Your company is developing a new mobile app that will allow customers to securely access their account information. The app will transmit sensitive data like social security numbers and credit card details. Which of the following cryptographic solutions is most appropriate to secure the communication between the app and company servers? A. SSL. B. MD5. C. DSA. D. AES. For this, we'll be going with option A, the SSL. SSL provides encrypted communication and also ensures data integrity between the app and the company servers. It does this by encrypting the data transmitted over the network, thereby protecting it from unauthorized access or tampering during transmission. Question 3. Physical access to the organization servers requires passing through multiple access points: a lobby, access control vestibule, 3 doors, and a caged area. What control is described in this scenario? Option A. Preventive. B. Deterrent. C. Detective. D. Compensating. Preventive controls are designed to prevent security incidents from occurring. Deterrent controls are intended to discourage individuals from attempting to compromise security. Detective controls are meant to identify and detect security breaches or incidents. Compensating controls are alternative controls used to mitigate risk when the primary controls are not effective. So, in the scenario we have here, we have the lobby, we have the access control vestibule, we have 3 doors as well as a caged area. This is a preventive control because in the context of physical security, preventive controls includes measures that restrict physical access to sensitive areas, thereby reducing the risk of unauthorized access or breaches. So that's why we're going with option A, preventive. Question 4. A security engineer is implementing a system that verifies identity before accessing sensitive company resources. Users must provide a username and password, or in some cases, a biometric scan. What term best describes this process? A. Identification. B. Accounting. C. Authorization. D. Authentication. For this, we'll be going with option D. Authentication is a process of verifying the identity of a user or a system before granting them access to resources. Users will typically provide their credentials like the username and password, or in some cases, the biometric scan, in order to authenticate themselves and prove their identity. So, the answer is authentication. Question 5. You notice your co-worker's laptop displaying a suspicious website while walking by their cubicle. The company policy requires employees to report any suspected phishing attempts. What is the most important action to immediately take next? A. Close the website on your co-worker's laptop yourself. B. Inform the IT department about the suspicious website. C. Warn your co-worker directly about the potential phishing attempts. D. Take a screenshot of the website and disconnect the laptop from the network. For this, we'll be going with option B. Informing the IT department will promptly allow them to take appropriate measures in order to investigate and mitigate any potential security threats. They will assess the situation, secure the system, and prevent any potential spread of malware or phishing attacks. Now, some of us might want to warn the co-worker or take a screenshot, but the IT department is best equipped to handle such incidents according to company policies and procedures. Question 6. As a network security engineer at a global enterprise responsible for ensuring confidentiality of sensitive data on the internal network, which statement accurately describes symmetric cryptography for securing data transmission in your network? A. Symmetric cryptography provides stronger encryption than asymmetric cryptography. B. Symmetric cryptography is ideal for encrypting large amounts of data. C. Symmetric cryptography uses same key for encryption and decryption. D. Symmetric cryptography requires exchange of a private key. For this, we'll begin with option C. Symmetric cryptography uses the same key for encryption and decryption. It is efficient for securing data transmission within a network. Question 7. Which of the following teams combines both offensive and defensive testing techniques to protect an organization's critical systems? A. Yellow. B. Purple. C. Red. D. Blue. For this, we'll be going with option B. The purple team combines both offensive and defensive testing techniques to enhance the overall security of an organization's critical system. The red team is the offensive team, while the blue team is the defensive team. So a combination of both of them will give the purple. Question 8. Which of the following best describes an advantage of using asymmetric cryptography for securing email communications between employees in an organization? A. Asymmetric cryptography uses same key for encryption and decryption. B. Asymmetric cryptography does not require key management. C. Asymmetric cryptography allows secure key exchange without a pre-shared key. D. Asymmetric cryptography is faster than symmetric cryptography for large data sets. We'll be going with option C. Asymmetric cryptography facilitates secure communication without requiring both parties to share a common key beforehand. This feature is particularly advantageous for secure key exchange because it ensures confidentiality and integrity of email communications between employees in an organization. Question 9. When implementing automation with Internet of Things devices, which of the following should be considered first to keep the network secure? A. Network range. B. Z-Wave compatibility. C. Communication protocols. D. ZigBee configuration. For this, we'll be going with option C, communication protocols. The communication protocol dictates how data is transmitted and received between devices. For the other options, the Z-Wave is just a wireless communication protocol that is designed specifically for home automation. ZigBee is a wireless communication protocol designed for low power and low data rate applications like in industrial control and smart metering. While network range, Z-Wave and ZigBee are important factors for setting up an Internet of Things network, they primarily affect performance and interoperability rather than security directly. So that's why we're going with option C, communication protocols. Choosing a secure and robust communication protocol is important for ensuring that data is encrypted, authenticated, and protected from interception or tampering. Question 10. An organization aims to ensure high levels of availability for its critical online transaction processing system. Which of the following measures would most effectively achieve this goal? A. Deploying redundancy and fault-tolerant systems. B. Conducting regular penetration testing on the network infrastructure. C. Increasing the frequency of data backups and off-site storage. D. Establishing comprehensive disaster recovery plans. For this, if we look at the question, the organization is aiming for a high level of availability for its critical online transaction processing system. So to achieve this goal, it needs to deploy redundancy and fault-tolerant systems. So that's why we'll be going with option A. Redundancy and fault-tolerant are critical for ensuring high availability. And by having duplicate systems and components, the organization can continue operating even if one of the components fails. So this directly supports their goal of maintaining continuous service availability. Question 11. A company transitioned to cloud-based storage for financial data accessible from any internet-connected device. As a security analyst, you are concerned about remote access risks. What control is most effective in detecting unauthorized access attempts to the financial data? A. IDS installed on company network. B. Physical security controls on the company server. C. MFA. D. Data encryption. The control that will be most effective in detecting unauthorized access attempts to the financial data would be option A. IDS installed on the company network. An intrusion detection system that is installed on the company network will be the most effective in detecting unauthorized attempts to access financial data in the cloud. The IDS monitors the network traffic for suspicious activities and potential threats, and it will also alert security personnel to unauthorized access attempts. Question 12. During a routine network security audit, a security analyst finds that several user accounts have excessive access due to incorrect permissions. Which aspect of access control was improperly implemented, leading to this potential security risk? A. Identification was not properly implemented. B. Authentication was not properly implemented. C. Authorization was not properly implemented. D. Integrity controls were not properly implemented. For this, we'll be going with option C. The aspects of access control that involves setting correct permissions and determining what resources a user can access is authorization. So an improperly implemented aspect leading to excessive privileges is the authorization. So authorization was not properly implemented. That is why several user accounts have excessive access due to the incorrect permissions that were set. Question 13. Which of the following best describes a security control that monitors legitimate use of resources and rights by users, as well as providing alerts on unauthorized attempts from normal usage patterns? A. An audit and monitoring system that records user activities and access to resources, issuing alerts when unauthorized access attempts are detected. B. An access control list that specifies which users or systems processes are granted access to objects, as well as what operations are allowed on given objects. C. A firewall configured to block traffic from known malicious IP address and to log all incoming and outgoing network traffic. D. An IDS designed to analyze network traffic and alert on patterns that match known cyber attacks. For this, we'll be going with option A. An audit and monitoring system that records user activities and provides alerts on unauthorized attempts is the best fit for a security control that monitors legitimate use of resources and rights by users, as well as detecting deviations from the normal usage patterns. Question 14. An IT administrator is setting up access control for a database server with sensitive financial data. The administrator must ensure that only specific users can access and modify this data based on their job roles. Which process best describes granting these users access rights to the server? A. Auditing. B. Accounting. C. Authentication. D. Authorization. Before we reveal the answer, let's break down each of the options to understand why we'll be choosing the correct one. Auditing involves reviewing and examining records and activities in order to ensure compliance with policies and procedures. However, it does not involve granting access rights. Accounting refers to tracking and logging user activities and resources usage, but it does not involve granting access rights. Authentication is the process of verifying a user's identity, like using a password or biometric data, but it does not involve granting specific access rights. Authorization is the process of granting or denying specific permissions to users based on their roles or responsibilities. So with respect to the question that is asked, where the administrator must ensure that only specific users can access and modify the data based on their job roles, the best answer would be option D, authorization. This best describes the process of granting specific users the right to access and modify the database server. Question 15. An organization aims to ensure high levels of availability for its critical online transaction processing systems. Which of the following measures would most effectively achieve this objective? A. Establishing comprehensive disaster recovery plan. B. Deploying redundancy and fault tolerance system. C. Conducting penetration testing on the network infrastructure. D. Increasing the frequency of data backups and off-site storage. Going through the options, establishing a comprehensive disaster recovery plan is essential for restoring services, but that will be after an incident has already occurred. It does not ensure continuous high availability during normal operations. Redundancy and fault tolerance directly supports high availability by ensuring that there is no single point of failure. So if one component fails, others can take over without the service being interrupted. Conducting regular penetration testing is important, but it doesn't give availability. It only identifies vulnerabilities in the system or the network. Increasing the frequency of data backups is important for data recovery. However, it doesn't prevent system downtime. So the most effective measure to achieve the objective of the organization to ensure high levels of availability is option B, deploying redundancy and fault-tolerant systems. This minimizes downtime and it keeps the system operational. Question 16. You are a security analyst investigating a recent surge in spam emails targeting employees at ABC company. The emails appear to be from a legitimate vendor you work for. However, the sender's email address has a slight misspelling and contains a link that urges users to click to verify their account information. Which of the following techniques is this email campaign leveraging on? A. Zero-day exploits. B. Brute force password attack. C. DDoS attack. D. Phishing attack. Now, going with the pattern of social engineering, the likely answer here would be phishing attack. But before we go deep, let me explain the other types of attack. A zero-day exploit is a vulnerability in the software that is unknown to the software vendor or to the antivirus vendors. So it is not related to this scenario. A brute force attack involves a hacker trying many passwords with the hope of eventually guessing correctly. It does not apply to this scenario because the focus is on deceiving the user through an email. The denial of service attack aims to make a resource unavailable to its intended users by flooding it with fake requests. So in this case, the answer is a phishing attack. Phishing attack involves sending deceptive emails that appears to come from a legitimate source. However, the slight misspelling in the sender's email, like in this scenario, is a common tactic that is used to deceive the recipient into believing that the email is legitimate. Additionally, the email includes a link that urges users to click to verify their information. This is a classic phishing tactic to trick users into divulging their credentials or sensitive information. Before I continue, I also have a video on phishing attacks and how to protect yourself from phishing attacks, so you can check it out at the end of this video. So for this, the answer is option D, phishing attacks. Question 17. Your company deployed a new web app for customer self-service, allowing password resets and account updates. What is a likely vulnerability that could be exploited to gain unauthorized access to user accounts? A. Lack of a firewall on the web server. B. Outdated operating system on employee workstations. C. Weak password requirements for user accounts. D. Physical security weakness in the server room. For this question, the vulnerability that is likely to be exploited is option C, weak password requirements for user accounts. So in this case, the customers have the ability to reset their passwords and also do their account updates. So of course, they will be tempted to use weak passwords or easily guessable passwords. In this case, the hackers can use brute force attack to try various combinations of password until they find the correct one. To mitigate against this risk, it is important to enforce strong password policies like requiring a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters, as well as implementing additional security measures like the multi-factor authentication. This will make it harder for the attackers to gain unauthorized access to user accounts. Question 18. While reviewing security logs for a web server, you notice a significant spike in failed login attempts for administrator accounts. These attempts originate from various IP addresses and none of them succeed. What type of vulnerability is this scenario most likely indicative of? A. Brute force password attack targeting administrator accounts. B. Unpatched SQL injection vulnerability on the server. C. man-in-the-middle attack intercepting login credentials. D. Buffer overflow vulnerability in the login application. For this, the answer is option A. A significant spike in failed login attempts originating from various IP addresses is a classic sign of a brute force password attack. In this type of attack, the attacker tries numerous combinations of password in an attempt to guess the correct one for the administrator account. The goal of the hacker is to gain unauthorized access by systematically attempting many password combinations. So to mitigate against this, it's very important that strong password policies are followed. So choosing of strong passwords by having a mix-up of upper and lower case, numbers and special characters, as well as implementing multi-factor authentication will help to mitigate against this. Question 19. An employee receives a text message that appears to have been sent by the payroll department and is asking for credential verification. Which of the following social engineering techniques are being attempted? A. Phishing. B. Vishing. C. Smishing. D. Misinformation. For this, we'll be going with option C. A smishing attack involves sending fraudulent text messages that appears to come from a legitimate source in order to trick the recipient into revealing personal information or credential. This is quite different from a phishing attempt, and this is also different from a vishing attempt. Vishing attempt is voice phishing, where the hacker calls the victim on phone and requests for, personal information or credentials by posing as a legitimate, maybe vendor or IT personnel. So don't confuse the both of them. Vishing is voice phishing, while smishing is SMS or text message phishing. Question 20. A security analyst is reviewing the following logs. Which of the following attacks is most likely occurring based on the log we have here? A. Account forgery. B. Pass the hash. C. Brute force. D. Password spraying. Now, when we look at this log, this is a classic example of password spraying. Password spraying involves attempting to gain access to multiple accounts by trying a small number of commonly used passwords. In the case of this log, the hacker is trying the same password, Spring 2023, across multiple usernames in rapid succession. And we can see this from the time on the logs. So this is a classic example of password spraying that the hacker is using. This brings us to the end of the video on the Security Plus 701 practice questions and answers. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment in the comment section if you found this video helpful towards your preparation for the exam. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell to watch new videos when they drop. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.